What is up, blockchain gang? This is the Daniel Draghi Show, where we will be going over the do's and don'ts when trying to earn money while flipping NFTs and play-to-earn games. There is not going to be anything revolutionary in this guide, as you will hopefully learn from my mistakes and tips to maximize your profits and to decide if flipping NFTs is something that could be useful to you based upon your budget, time, and earnings expectations. So let's get to work. Or don't you know?
That's the sound of the man working on the chain. Gang. That's the sound of the man working on the chain. Gang. Can you hear me say? Ooh, ah.
The majority of this guide will be focused on buying NFT characters for the game of MIR4, but many of these practical tips can be utilized in other marketplaces. For starters, this will not involve buying NFTs out of speculation, which is a very risky strategy in my opinion. We are not buying NFTs hoping the value will greatly appreciate and we will become a millionaire overnight. We are buying NFTs that are listed well below market price by desperate sellers so that we can relist them for a competitive price and still make a nice return on our investment. You will need two things in order to be successful in this endeavor, and that is time and capital. The first time is consistently checking the marketplace when you're looking for new deals, as well as relisting items when they expire or are no longer deals anymore. The second is enough capital to buy at least one NFT in your price range to start out. You can start with more, but that is the natural minimum. Now, we don't need to do a ton of technical analysis, which is why I like this strategy, but we should track the total number of listed NFTs versus the total number of minted NFTs in order to get an idea of market saturation. More importantly, is the market becoming more saturated or less saturated? Let's take a snapshot of the market to see what we mean by this. Currently, there are 1,785 character NFTs listed on the market. We can see that from the NFT scope, there are a total of 51,978 character NFTs. This means that about 3.4% of all NFTs owned are listed on the market. The movement in this number tells us if we should expect the prices to increase or decrease in the near future. If this number starts to trend upward, prices will begin to fall and it will take longer to sell your NFT unless you reduce the price. If the number is lowered, prices will begin to increase and NFTs will sell quicker. I will usually want to check this every day at the same time and record its movement on a graph. I believe some NFTs perform better than others because they have a dual purpose, for playing the game of MIR4 and with earning passive income in Mirage. For this reason, the best NFTs are usually at the power level breakpoints for Mirage rallies. In BV, this would be about 110,000 power, in SV this would be about 150,000 power, and RMV would be about 185,000. This is regular power score and not Mirage power. Of course, over time this is subject to change and you should consult the market and Mirage rankings before making any purchases. The biggest time sink comes from constantly checking the market when you're looking to buy. I will typically do this every few hours when possible. It's much easier to do from my PC than phone, but I will use my phone if it's the only way to access the market. The first thing that I do is put the NFTs in order from price of lowest to highest. I'm checking for an error listing or someone trying to ghost trade an NFT from one account to another. Next, I'll go up to the power filter and screen out anything under 105,000 power. Now I'm just going down the road and looking for a power level that sticks out, being much higher than the relative listings in price. Once I find one that is listed well below the price it should be, I will filter by that class and see what the next highest NFT is listed with similar power. This is a very important step because it will determine how much profit can be made. Remember that we have to subtract the 5% market fee, which is 1 Wemix for every 20 we collect from the sale. Earning between 1 and 3 Wemix per trade in this way can easily double your money in 2 to 3 months. If you are persistent and only go for the best deals when the market is right. When the market is highly saturated, you will have to stop buying NFTs and sit on the ones you own until it stabilizes, or else you will have to sell for a loss. Usually once a patch is released, you will start to see the saturation rate drop and you can start getting really good deals again. The important thing is to know when to stop flipping or you will be giving back nearly everything you've made. Again, we are not speculating here as much as arbitrating the price. If the seller is in a hurry and willing to greatly undercut the market in order to expedite the sale, instead of making them wait for a buyer, we can buy it and then relist it at a fair price. This helps maintain the value of all other NFTs by preventing market crashes, reducing volatility, and increasing player liquidity to help stabilize the market in addition to rewarding us for our efforts and risks. After a month or two of active trading, you should be able to afford to scale up the operation or pocket the returns if you're happy with how much you are earning. While this probably isn't nearly as fun as playing a game, it is definitely as profitable in earning, if not more. There are some days where I've earned up to 10 Wemix by making multiple sales, as well as other times when it takes a week to make a single Wemix, or I've had to completely shut down trading. I've thought about putting the characters in Mirage when the market is saturated to earn while I'm holding them, but it takes at least 7 Vigor, which is 0.7 Hydra, in order to put them in for 1 season and seal them back into the marketplace, which is not worth the amount they will earn in Beach and Valley for a single season, and only becomes profitable in the 2nd season and beyond once the sealing cost is considered. As far as other NFT goes, I'm very shy on them because the profit margins are so low. There are times when you could find a really good Mystic piece, epic item, magic stone, or sealed box that are listed way too low, but the players have gotten much better at pricing their items over the past 6 months. Also, you can check the liquidity, and often you would have to wait 2 to 4 weeks before you can sell it, and the price may have dropped over that time, further decreasing your profits. However, this may be an alternative when your character NFT market is saturated and you are sitting on a pile of Wemix or Hydra. I've made money in other games, flipping NFTs such as Rise of Stars and Crypto Ball Z, but this is usually when the markets are way down and I get really good deals and sell them for 25 to 50% more a few weeks later. When I say really down, I mean 1 Wemix, so it's impossible for the price to get any lower. So I would place those in the high risk and higher infrequent rewards category, but could be a good place to start if you don't have enough Wemix to buy MIR4 character NFTs. Rise of Stars price fluctuation would typically revolve around new patches or servers every 2 to 4 weeks, and Crypto Ball Z has a 2-week price cycle to correspond with its 2-week-long seasons, while MIR4 character NFTs see price increases from both Mirage and MIR4 updates. Since NFTs are bought and sold with Wemix, the fluctuation of the price of the token is another factor to take into consideration. If the price of Wemix moves down quickly, you will see people pull their NFTs off the market as opposed to relisting them for more Wemix, and when the price of Wemix jumps quickly, you will see the market usually become more saturated. This can often cause the market to do the exact opposite of what you believe it will do if a big patch comes out at the same time as a new game is released, so don't bet on market conditions to remain the same or change in one way or another, as it could have the opposite of the desired effect. It is much easier to stomach small gains over large losses by being patient and finding the most profitable deals on NFTs, so even if you would normally have to sell for a loss, you can eke out a small profit after fees. Again, we are not speculating the price will go up. We are just like a pawn shop, buying things from people below market value to expedite the sale, and relisting them to people at market value. Pawn shops don't do this because they believe the item will go up in value, but because they know that people get desperate sometimes. I wouldn't doubt it if some of the people who bought my NFTs were the very same people who sold them to me in the first place, but made a mistake in hindsight and were happy to pay a 10% fee to get it back. I don't know if this is massively scalable because I have not tried the Snake Valley and Red Moon Valley NFTs, but I would assume it is pretty easy to turn $100 into almost $1,000 in 12 months of doing this, when the market dictates the time is right. That is nearly 1000% APY, and that is why my dude from Pawn Stars is going to jail. Well, that, a trash bag of weed, a dozen unregistered firearms, but you get the idea. If we started with 40 Wemix, we should be able to average at least 2 Wemix per week for the first few months, accounting for breaks due to market saturation. By that time, we should be able to afford a 3rd NFT, increasing our earnings by 50%. Each time we do this, we accelerate how quickly we can purchase another NFT to increase our earnings. By the end of 12 months, we should have turned that 40 Wemix into 350 for a total of $962 at current market value, or a conservative estimate. If we stop there, we can have an army of about 20 NFTs, each valued at around $50, or we can continue cycling these NFTs while keeping the profit of about 20 Wemix per week, or $55 at current market value. Another idea could be to stick them into 4 different valleys in Mirage where they can generate passive income. Each one would produce about 0.8 Hydra per season at current value and would be about $115 per month for 5 minutes of work. Classes are important, and many times you will see the Arbalist, Sorcerer, and Taoist will sell much faster, but with lower profit margins because they are the most popular classes in that order, with the most listings and buyers. Then you have Lancers and Warriors that we will sit on for a longer period of time usually, but will bring in bigger profits due to more impatient sellers undercutting each other. It is a good rule to try to buy different classes of NFTs if you are buying them of similar value, so you are not competing with yourself, unless you see 2 really good deals competing with each other. Sometimes 2 players will get into a selling war where they keep undercutting each other, trying to outsell the other. You can scoop up both for a song and take away any competition by pricing them fairly based upon their actual items, spirits, and level. This is because if someone is playing the game, they probably know what class they want to play, and if they are playing multiple characters in Mirage, they will need one from each class to get the party bonus. I made videos on Mirage and valuing NFTs if you want to check those out. Remember that none of this is intended to be financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. Thank you for watching. That is all I have for you today. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can do this again sometime.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless.